Hello, everyone. It is your boy, Darth Goons. And today we are scaling one of the most slept on characters in Star Wars history. I'm talking about the founder of the Rule of Two, one of the most influential characters ever exist, Darth Bane. Today we will be evaluating him based on three categories: physicals, combat skill and intelligence, and then force hacks and abilities. I hope you guys are hyped for this. I apologize for the slight delay on renewal of content on this new channel. I promise I will upload at least a couple videos weekly, and I'll definitely be uploading re-uploads often. So get excited for that if you're new to the community. If you want to check out my main channel, Jobbers and Goons, go check it out. But here, we celebrate my favorite, baby. We celebrate Star Wars. Now let's get into it. First, we're going to start off with physicals. So, Darth Bane, the former miner, turned Sith soldier, turned Sith apprentice, turned Sith master, turned founder of the Rule of Two, an absolute icon. What did he bring to the table in physicality? He was considered a mountain of muscle, with quotes putting him as a mountain of muscle with heavy hands and a fierce temper. By the way, I have a Star Wars server where I keep all my scans, keep all my Star Wars info, because I want to grow the Star Wars community in a very holistic and happy way and knowledgeable way. So I share it all. Definitely come check it out if you haven't already. Getting back to this, he's also considered the most physically gifted of his time, at least in terms of prospects to become Sith. He was simply bigger and more physically dominant than all the other prospects. Compared to the Sith, once he enlisted as well, Bane was a giant compared to the other Sith prospects that they went against. Not only in the Force, but like I said, his physical stats. Even battle masters, blade masters, master duelists, and older Sith struggled physically against the might of young Bane. Before he even truly became a powerhouse in the Force and relied on all that, he was already a physical specimen. He's actually technically listed at about 6'7", 265. He was fucking huge. What was Darth Bane doing in Star Wars? Why was he trying to be a Sith? Buddy should have been hooping. But getting back on topic, he is literally compared in physicality, build, and muscle to a Wookiee. They said he might as well be a skinned Wookiee walking around. He is also, according to Fact Files, I believe it was issue 134, he's considered one of the most dangerous duelists ever. Like, very few could compete with him. But not only that, he is actually considered one of like the most physically imposing ever and the physically most imposing of his time. In terms of speed, usage of the Force, he was an absolute blur with a blade, even compared to Force users and those that can like react to light speed, block lasers, shit like that. He also pretty early on turned out to be too fast for a Blade Master. Blade Masters being at least high Jedi Knight to low Jedi Master level, absolute masters of this craft, perfecting all the different forms of lightsaber combat. It's pretty crazy to blitz a Battle Master, and he was doing that very early on. He also was too fast for trainees who were soon to be promoted to essentially Sith Master tier. They witnessed him in combat, and pre-Prime, he was faster than what they could really register in terms of his movement. When he went against Sith assassins later on, it was a group of them, he managed to take them on and take them out without them really registering how fast he was moving or what he was pulling off. In 10 minutes in a rainstorm, literally 10 minutes, he blocked, deflected, reacted to, and kept away billions upon billions of water droplets that fell towards him in that like hurricane type storm. Nothing could touch him. He blocked all of it, reacted to all of it. Insane. Darth Zana knows that like even if he's physically impaired, even if something happens to him, he is gonna be able to react to her, if not outright blitz her. And Zana is one of the quickest Sith out there, at least in her time. We then get to his durability and endurance. Pre-Force, he could literally sprint for miles and miles without even heavy breathing or his breathing changing at all. For him to be this super prospect athlete before Force use was pretty insane. He could literally, process time as if it slowed down. He went at one point 13 days without food and water. Just made it off being pissed off and having the ability through rehydration capsules or hydration capsules, whatever they're called, as well as his own anger. He could just power through it. He then took an attack and he's tanked melting, essentially cellular melting on a molecular level, and survived and barely even blacked out. He's tough as shit. Spoilers. Darth Bane's one of the toughest motherfuckers to ever live. He's able to not only tank lightsaber strikes, but he can essentially instantly heal from them in certain states. Darth Bane has one of the more impressive healing factors among Sith Lords, and at certain points could, like I said, take a Sith strike, a lightsaber strike that should put him down, and rather just heal from it. He has been dismembered by tendrils or dark force tendrils before, and still like focused despite this occurring, which is insane. Pretty much all his cells being set on fire, his perception of pain magnified heavily. He's still able to like trying to push through it. He also was able to tank removal on a cellular level of the Orbalisk armor, which is crazy. No one should survive that, yet he survived it. He's also, in terms of switching over to unconventional attacks, he has full-on withstood a barrage and an attack of an astral assault level. He was completely taken off guard and still resisted it. On top of this, he has tanked the thought bomb effect, which could literally like erase, wipe out, drain, whatever you want to call it, planets like of Jedi and Sith and whatnot. So for him to be able to withstand the effects of that is insane. In conclusion on physicals, Darth Bane is one of the most imposing physical figures we've ever seen combative-wise in Star Wars. Moving on to the next section, we have combat skills and intelligence. In terms of intelligence, very few can match what Bane accomplished as both a scholar and student of combat and force teachings. It's actually stated Darth Bane had gained more knowledge and mastery of Sith techniques and power than anyone who had come before him. In terms of what he was studying and what he had access to, he had entire libraries literally dedicated to holocrons and keepings and teachings of the Sith knowledge. On top of this, he has underwent studies and preparation that included Jedi teachings. So he actually is pretty versatile and well balanced in what he knows and has learned. Bane also spent several hours of each day studying the ancient records. He found them particularly fascinating, and they supplemented a lot of what he couldn't get in training. In terms of what he pioneered as an intellect, he birthed the rule of two concept, figuring out and doctoring a way to best weaponize the Force for the dark side. Every other way hadn't been as good. He's easily superior to Darth Zana in terms of an intellect, with Zana being one of the craftiest and most intelligent Sith of her time, including one of the best sorcerers and alchemic users we've ever seen. He has shown, in terms of combat IQ, he's absolutely adept in pretty much all fight scenarios, but he also improves after and during encounters drastically, almost like this um, ability to power up and get stronger from what he's encountering while he's encountering it, as well as learning more and adapting to it. He's also considered a master strategist and tactician in battle. In terms of how he applies himself, he will take the situation and manipulate it according to the best way for him to win, and he's considered brilliant at this. In terms of combat skill and prowess, his main lightsaber styles include the mastery of Jimso, Juyo, and Sarisu, with his famous Sarisu moment being the rainstorm incident where he couldn't be touched by any raindrops for 10 minutes. His skill with the blade and in combat was so prodigious that his blade master actually gave him a legendary blade, with blade signifying how incredible Bane was as a skilled combatant. He, almost immediately into his training, mastered all forms of lightsaber combat. Not only this, he pretty much had grown beyond them and were disinterested in them. And like I said, as a trainee, he pretty much surpassed the forms and was told he was beyond it, really had to start coming up with his own methods, attacks, vectors, and all that. He was quite the prodigy with the blade. Not many people talk about that. They talk what he did for the culture and the environment for Sith, but not really how brilliant he was as a duelist. He was able to toy with who were considered master duelists and combatants at the time, and this is early on in his career as a duelist. He quickly advanced from that point on, too, to be able to take on battle masters who can flawlessly perform all of the lightsaber forms. He can not only take them on, but he can dispatch them and defeat them. They're pretty much hopeless compared to him. He's been able to, combined with his combat skill and force, slaughter 12 Takata, with just 10 Takata being able to take on a strike force led by Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, showing just how strong Darth Bane is, even alone. He is able to body masterful defenders and Sarisu users like Darth Zana, taking her down pretty quickly in a duel. Her defense is pretty much crumbled under his assault. He also can outduel precog. Essentially, he can see your precog, dampen it, make his superior, use superior precog to yours, and just out manipulate and outskill your precog as well, bypassing anyone trying to cheat in the battle. Amped Jedi Masters, working as a trio, had to come together, and even still, they could not take him down in a duel. They could only force him on the defensive back foot, in which he brilliantly stonewalled them. He's shown against shadow assassins that they're kind of fodder to him. You have to be a super high tier to even interest him, and he has speed slashes and techniques to literally just one-shot them. He also was outright out-dueling 3 Jedi Masters before they had to essentially enter Force Harmony and massively amp themselves. Before that, he was like pretty comfortably above them, and even still, they weren't above him while massively amped. Overall, as a duelist, I find Darth Bane to be one of the most slept on in Star Wars. I don't feel like he's properly accredited with how brilliant he was as a duelist, and his intelligence is second to none, making him formidable in this category. Finally, we're going to move on to force, abilities, and techniques. Darth Bane is considered an absolute master of mind hacks. While he can do the simple things like telepathy, telekinesis, breaking into your mind, reading your thoughts, there's some of the other things he can do. He can channel hatred, not only your hatred and the hatred of those around him, but himself, essentially weaponizing it. And he can also heighten it for others pretty much emotionally manipulating people to an extreme degree. He can also use simple mental manipulation called horror, where it essentially triggers high amounts of fears in opponents, causing them to act irrationally or just break down. He also can perform memory walk, which allows him to literally go through all your memories, break down what you've done, what you've got in your mind, and act accordingly. In terms of other force techniques he has the Death Field. This is an unstoppable concentration of dark side energy projected from your physical animus in the shape of a sphere. Any living being entering the field will wither into a dry husk. It is sustained by will, but it will try to consume you as well. On top of death energy, he also has the ability to destroy or remove your sensory capabilities. Most famously, he uses blind, where he uses the force to overwhelm your optic nerves. Darth Cognis, at one point, stated that his raw force power was beyond anything seen before. You could try to argue, Revan types, Nihilist types, characters of high tier from way back in the day. I think it definitely makes it an interesting conversation. Bane also has subatomic manipulation and control on an extreme level, to the point that he can pretty much, with no issue, make holocrons. He can use mind shard techniques to destroy your psyche and render you helpless to attacks. It's considered a sliver of psychic pain that's hurled from his own consciousness into his enemy's brain. He also has the mastery and capability of Drain Life. This is a delicate procedure that saps the life energy of another and funnels it directly into your own essence. He obviously derived this from characters like the Holocrons of Revan. In terms of force abilities and power, he was stupidly broken. I mean, this is a guy who wanted to fast travel once and moved a moon. Literally moved the moon. Compared moving moons and stars with someone with the level of force power he has, as like a child might play with colored balls. It's crazy. Like, he's a fucking monster. It's like a child playing with toys. Are you serious? Like, what? And he did that. He is also, through the dark side, stated to have near infinite power. He also, it's pretty funny, has essentially the ability to big boy your shit through the force. That is, he can simply shrug off and ignore your attacks with sheer power. If he's stronger than you, he can likely just ignore your technique. He also scales above artifacts that easily make you planetary or star level. Not only this, these same artifacts of that level, he states, are like drops in the ocean for him. That's crazy. He also took on and nearly killed Takata with single blasts. These, like I said, could take strikes and blasts from Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and an entire Jedi strike force. On top of this, he has taken down and blasted Sith doors. This is important because these same Sith, like enchanted doors, Exar Kun couldn't budge them, but he blasted no problem. Exar Kun is a monster. If y'all want to see content on him, let me know in the comment section down below. He was able to learn Lightning Storm. Not only this, he was so prodigious, he replicated it pretty much instantly and was using it. On top of this, he has Force Repulse. This repulse allowing him to ragdoll even amped Jedi Masters, which makes the battle very tricky. In terms of his Force Telekinesis and how powerful that is, he was a threat to essentially snap the neck of Zana even when weakened, no problem with the Force. He has lightning, which scales multiple times above lightsabers, like essentially trying to block out with your lightsaber, you're gonna get fried. He has his own form of Shatterpoint. This is a way in which he essentially sees your abilities, and he's able to recognize all you're capable of and attack the weaknesses. He was able to reduce multiple attackers to ash instantly with some of his Force Destruction technique, making him incredibly dangerous in the destructive capacity if you run down on him. On top of this, he has Repulsive Lightning Cloak. Even while weakened, this is capable of absolutely ragdolling Zana. who can't do anything to it. She just has to try to escape it. His precog also is not only elite, it works in a way that it literally dampens his enemy's precog. It will hinder it and make it a lot weaker, which is crazy. He was able of even capable, I'm sorry, kind of misspoke. Capable of even ragdolling mentally Darth Zana, who, like I said, is a high class and skilled Sith master who has weaponized telepathy and other techniques and rituals, yet she was really nothing to him when he used these mind techniques. And he also can use rage and hatred from himself and others to amp himself in combat, creating an insane power loop. But anyways, these are the 3 categories for Darth Bane. In conclusion, for the Force abilities and hacks, he is one of the most versatile characters in Star Wars. He's capable of an insane arsenal of destructive capabilities, stealth techniques, illusions, regular hacks, soul hacks. He's a powerhouse with all the basic techniques. Darth Bane is one of the most formidable across the board, as you've seen from these 3 categories. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of Darth Bane in the comment section down below, how strong you think he is. He considers moving moons and stars like playing with toys. He considers star level a drop in an ocean compared to him. What do you guys think of the power of Bane? What do you think of his intelligence, his skill, his physicality? I think he's one of the toughest and hardest to face, regardless of time period. You let me know what you think. But anyways, this has been your boy, Darth Goons, and I will see y'all later. Peace.